Jennie, lovely to have you here. Fantastic to see you, because I've spoken to you before, but not in the flesh, so it's good to have you in the same room.
It's so nice to be here, Jane. I've been dying to meet you.
Right, well, that's lovely. She's saying all the right things.
I am.
Now, look, I really feel for you, because I know you're incredibly nervous about the reaction to this. Is your second novel, The Barbecue at Number 9. The thing is, Jennie, that your debut, when you were an unknown, did the business.
Yeah.
Well, just own it. It went to number 1 in the bestsellers. So, do you feel under pressure?
Completely. And somebody actually asked me yesterday how I was dealing with the pressure. And I think they were expecting me to say, oh, I'm fine. I'm very chilled out. I am not in the slightest bit chilled out. And I'm owning that. I'm owning the anxiety about my second book.
Why? Why is it so bad? Because of the success of the first?
Yeah, I think so. But also, it's the difficult second album syndrome. And you never know how people are going to react to your words and your stories. But after having such an enormously positive response to the list of suspicious things, I think I just feel really nervous about letting readers and fans of the book down. I mean, I'm an anxious person anyway, so, this just helps, the extra pressure.
Yeah, you've picked a strange life path for someone who's a little anxious. Yeah, I mean, you are putting pressure on yourself. Okay. I loved it, so I don't think you've got any worries. I think you're going to be all right.
Thank you.
It is just worth saying that you only became a professional full-time writer relatively recently. You'd had a life, hadn't you?
Yes, I had a life. I was a corporate person. I worked in HR for 25 years. In fact, I was interviewed in this very building to be the HR director for this company. Yes, I was. So I had a what I now term as a proper job until I gave it all up and started to write at age 49.
And during those years when you were doing something else, something very important and clearly at a high level, as you indicate, were you reading? Were you writing? Were you obsessing about... Yeah.
So I didn't write, interestingly, but I have always been a voracious reader, like a really serious bookworm. I always tell the story of my mum took me to the doctors when I was about 8 or 9 years old to say, I'm really worried my child is reading too much and not sleeping enough. The doctor said she didn't have anything to worry about. And that has continued, that kind of being a voracious reader. So I feel like my apprenticeship as a writer was served by the many, many, many books I've read.
Okay, that's really interesting. I mean, like you, I love reading, and I will read pretty much anything. And I struggle a bit with the so-called literary fiction sometimes, but I'll press on. But there's nothing like getting lost in a book. Are you worried that absolute bliss potentially is going to be denied to so many generations of our young people?
Yeah, actually, it is a big worry of mine. And I saw my godchildren who are in their early teens last week, and they call me Auntie Jen Jen. And they were like, Auntie Jen Jen, why does English have to be on the syllabus at schools? And I went into some big, enormous rant about critical thinking and empathy. I mean, I'm not sure they were convinced, but I really worry about the generation coming through and the ability to focus actually on reading as much as anything else.
And losing yourself in the lives of others. It's bliss, but it also educates you, obviously.
Yeah, and it's enormously powerful in building emotional muscle, I think.
Let's talk about this new book, because it's set in a very specific time and place. And if you're my age, you're younger, you're only in your 50s. You also, though, remember the day, which is the 13th of July, 1985.
Absolutely.
Margaret Thatcher's Britain. She's very much in her pomp. And we'll get on to her in a moment. But take us through your memories of what you were doing on that day.
So Live Aid, it's actually, for me, impossible to overstate how much it took over the entire country. I was so excited about it. And I was 15 years old, and I had a little black and white portable television in my bedroom. Yeah. And because my parents were quite strict and they didn't like pop music. I watched it on my portable television in my bedroom, but with the landline sort of roped into my bedroom so I could phone my best friend after each act and we could discuss what we thought of them. And one of my biggest memories of the day was after Queen, because as a 15-year-old, Queen were not cool.
No.
That was kind of dad music.
Yeah, very much so.
But Freddie Mercury was so magical and so magnetic. I remember ringing my best friend and crying down the phone because it was such a uniting, emotional, magical moment. And that's definitely reflected in the book. That's the one time in the book that everyone stops to watch the concert.
I would urge anyone who wasn't around at the time or just has forgotten, go on YouTube. I did it myself.
Yes.
I looked up Freddie Mercury, Live Aid, Radio Gaga. You'll cry.
Yes.
Because it's a man absolutely in control of an amazing situation and atmosphere and riding it out.
I've got goosebumps now.
Yeah, I know, so have I. You've got to see it. He's got tight white jeans and a white singlet on. He looks incredible. He sounds incredible, and the crowd are singing along with him. And honestly, it's life changing potentially. Yeah. So give yourself a dose of that if you're having a bad week.
Yes.
The Close is what's it called? I wrote the name down. Delmont Close. That's right. So we are in Suburbia, very much so. And the couple having the barbecue, they've invited everybody in the Close to come along. Not everybody comes. And they are Lydia and Peter. Now, Lydia is, well, she's someone who hugely admires Delia Smith, and who doesn't, and Princess Di.
She absolutely does. And she aspires to be Crystal Carrington from Dynasty.
Well, I mean, I did as well. I definitely had the shoulder pads. I think I'm now more Delia Smith, very much so. Actually, I was then as well. No shade on Delia, who's obviously a genius. Tell us about Lydia, because I can recognise her. She's a character from my youth, actually. Nothing wrong with it, but the aspirational, slightly snooty, slightly vulnerable suburban lady.
Absolutely. And she is inspired by a mum when I was growing up, who, when I used to go to my friend's house and watch television, because that's what you did, when we sat on the sofa, when we would stand up to go, I would be going, she would immediately, before my bum was even off the seat, be coming round to plump the cushions up.
Yeah.
And I have never forgotten that. I used to think it was really funny, but also that it looked like really hard work. And she's absolutely who Lydia is based on.
She is keeping up appearances.
All the way.
But there's a lot she doesn't know, even about her own family.
Yes. And I guess, not to make too many parallels to today, but it's kind of Instagram versus reality, but 80s style.
Yeah.
She wants her house to be perfect and she wants the appearance of the perfect family. But of course, underneath that is a lot of imperfection and some secrets that she learns throughout the course of that 12 hours.
Yes, she goes on a journey.
She certainly does. I love her, by the way.
Yeah, I think I wonder if this could be televised, and I wonder who you would have in the role of Lydia. Who would it be?
Do you know what? I don't know, but unfortunately, I think Alison Steadman's a little older now. But she would have been my ideal.
Yeah, okay, that's a really good reference. I'll absolutely take that.
Yeah.
Now, her husband, it's not a spoiler to say that he is someone who's under a great deal of strain.
No.
And he is going out to work, or so we think.
Yes.
But he's not, is he?
No, and that is a story that I sort of remember from that time.
Well, I don't want to interrupt, but I know someone whose dad did that.
Oh my God, really?
Well, somebody I was at university with, her dad used to go to the library every day.
Oh my gosh, that's actually made me a bit sad.
Well, because
it is true, though.
Absolutely is. This is the 1980s. People were losing their jobs.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, our focus as a country was on this kind of home-owning, self-made man, particularly men, self-made man. But that's not sustainable for everyone. And we were about to go into a huge recession. And I sort of wanted to capture that tension in the character of Peter.
Yeah, well, you do, and you end up feeling really sorry for this man. And indeed, even his teenage daughter feels sorry for him too by the end. But he emerged, he's a heroic figure in the
He
end.
absolutely is.
Yeah.
And Stephen Mangan, he's reading him in the audiobook.
Oh, everybody.
How perfect is that?
Everyone's in for a treat.
Yeah.
There's a character called Steve.
Yes.
Who is, again, a vulnerable person. It's all about, actually, what goes on behind the net curtains of suburbia, isn't it?
It absolutely
You
is.
can
yeah.
wash them in your glow white as often as you like,
Yeah.
but you can never really protect yourself from reality.
Yeah.
And Steve is someone who served in the Falklands.
Yes, and if there's any character that I did intense research around, it's Steve. Because I feel like the Falklands is almost a forgotten story, and particularly the experience of veterans in the Falklands. So I did a lot of reading of first-person accounts, particularly of young soldiers who were part of that combat. I learned such an enormous amount. But I loved writing that character to represent a story I don't think is often told.
No, it isn't, and it should be. You're right. And I'm just trying to think who else we've missed out. Well, there's Rita, she's a divorcee. She's a little bit suspicious. I mean, Lydia is certainly very suspicious of Rita. And she does have a backstory, and we find out exactly what it is. She's not quite everything she seems to be. But, I mean, do you think that is just the reality of suburban life? Perhaps the life of any street, actually.
Yes, I really do. I absolutely do. And when you said about kind of Steve being vulnerable, I think we're all vulnerable in our different ways. And, I wanted to write a book that showed empathy for everyone's stories, from Lydia to Steve, but also the kind of breadth of human life. Because my family actually did move from the north to the south, fate worse than death, when I was 10 years old or 11 years old, and we moved to a new build Wimpy estate. And there's all that tension when you're moving somewhere like that of appearing to be a certain way to your neighbours, appearing to be something in your community. And I love the idea of reflecting that in this novel.
You have written, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, in your Substack about family estrangement.
Yes.
And again, it's something we don't often discuss, but none of us have perfect families. None of us have seamless relations with our nearest and dearest. It just doesn't happen. But I must admit, I had not read anything quite as soul-bearing and honest as your story of what's gone on in your family.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that you should bring that up, because I started that Substack basically when I was frozen with fear after the success of the List of Suspicious Things and couldn't write novels until I had the idea for the barbecue at number 9. But I started that Substack as a way of getting me writing again. But it's become much more of a writing about the reality of life as a middle-aged woman in a way that I don't censor myself, because I think it's really important to reflect life honestly.
Yeah.
And the whole Instagram versus reality worries me for young people, but worries me for middle-aged women too.
Yeah, if we all really think everyone's having as good a time as they purport to be having,
yes,
I'd be really, really more anxious than I already am. But I mean, you have said that your father was actually estranged from his family, wasn't
yes.
he? And you at one point met your dad in the street, but hadn't seen him for a decade.
Yes, I bumped into him in a shopping mall on Christmas Eve, and he didn't recognise me. And I just automatically said, Dad, I hadn't seen him for that length of time either. And we went for a cup of tea in Woolworths in Milton Keynes. And that was the first time we'd seen each other in, at least 10 years. And that was the beginning of us reforming a relationship. And I've always been obsessed with kind of families. I guess, I mean, it's no surprise given my own background.
Yeah.
And in what happens within families. And I guess part of my writing journey as a novelist is about exploring the imperfection of families, but with hopefully a little bit of hope about the future.
Well, this is a hopeful book.
Good.
I mean, it does end. I don't want to give anything away, but it ends on some positive notes.
Yeah. Which we all need right now.
Well, we do, and it is a grim time. And I wonder, you've tackled Thatcher, the Thatcher years in the 1980s, Margaret Thatcher, as we should call her, for balance. Because it is worth saying that lots of people voted for her and continue, and she won 3 elections.
Yes.
I mean, that's true.
Yes.
But before that, you'd done the years of the serial killer Peter Sutcliffe and the impact on a whole generation of people, not just young women.
Yes.
Are you going to move forward in time with your next one?
I certainly am.
Is it in space?
It's actually in 1997.
Oh, now that was also a big year.
Enormous year.
Quite a lot happened that year.
Absolutely. And so this book, The Barbecue at Number 9, is set over the 12 hours of Live Aid. My third book is set over the 12 months of 1997, because so much happened in that year. And it's entirely through the lens of one family. So I'm getting deep into the family relationships on book 3.
I can't wait. Jenny, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.